let's start at the beginning. And Sanskrit is a beautiful language because its language is almost the closest we have to, it contains the meaning. Most of our languages come partially from Sanskrit. So let's look at the word mudra in Sanskrit. Mudra comes from two words in Sanskrit, mudram and reti. Mudram means basically joy. It means delight. It means happiness. Rati means the giver or the bringer of that. So a mudra, those two words actually mean, a mudra is the bringer of joy, the giver of happiness. Right? It's a really beautiful way to think of a mudra, right? We think of it technical sometime in meditation, but really what it does, it creates joy and happiness when they're performed. The translation of the word, if you look at it when it's translated, it's usually translated in three major words. The three major words it's used is seal, S-E-A-L, like you're sealing something closing, you're closing something, you're sealing something. Mm-hmm. And that's really what mudras do. They seal or they close a circuit of energy in the energy body so the energy can flow in a different way. It goes through a different pathway because you've made a seal. Mm-hmm. So we'll come back to that later. The other way to look at the mudras when it's translated is it is an attitude. That's an interesting word for mudra, an attitude. And we'll discover that when you hold a mudra a certain way, it creates an attitude of consciousness. It creates a different way of seeing yourself and the world around you. And that's why you see mudras being demonstrated or held and all the statues of Buddha, the paintings of Christ, the spiritual beings who have used these hand positions to convey an attitude of peace, understanding, acceptance, meditation. So attitude, that's a very interesting way to look at mudras. The third way, which I like to investigate with you, is translated as a gesture, a hand movement, right? Because when people say, well, where did mudras come from? You know, like they say, where did mantras come from? And where did asanas come from? Well, mudras have their origins in the pre-linguistic or even before humans had language. The communication we did as humans were really with our hands. The gestures were the original ways we communicate everything, pre-language. And it was universal because if you met someone who didn't have your language or even have a language, the hand positions would communicate a lot. And very skilled, people were very skilled at using hands to communicate. In some ways we've not only lost it, but we don't rely on the hands to communicate as much. Speakers do, like I'm doing right now, obviously, right? But mostly we're so oriented toward the ear and hearing things, we're not watching as closely as we would if we had to use gestures to communicate. Unless, of course, you're using sign language, one of the most amazing gesture systems in the world.
Full of mudras, too.
And mudras, too, right? So realize that gestures were the original ways that we actually interacted with each other.